Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Phil Risher, and on today's episode, we're diving into building a scalable home service business through systems, leadership, and community impact with Brendon Aldridge. Thanks so much for joining us today, Brendon.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for our conversation. Brendon is the owner of Dr. HVAC Ltd., which is a leading heating and cooling company serving the greater Toronto area. With over 20 years in the trades, Brendon has built Dr. HVAC into a trusted, community-driven business focused on expert service and genuine customer care. He's passionate about developing skilled technicians, growing strong community culture, and supporting charities that help at-risk youth. We like to feature people on the show that are, $1 to $10 million business owners or plus. Can you tell us a little bit about like the origin story, but then kind of where you're at now, what the business looks like to paint the picture of what you got going on?
Yeah, sure. So it's I can go back quite a ways. I've been in business
Yeah.
18 years now and
Yeah.
started, as people like to say, I failed into the trades. So I
Yeah.
started I got fired from my job where I got licensed way back and started Dr. HVAC, and I started doing a lot of commercial work just through like friends and whatnot, and one thing led to another and I got bigger, had to hire my first guy. I remember like I used to pay him cash. So every Friday I have to go to the bank, pull out some money and pay him. And then, just kept growing and eventually got my own, like moved into the building we're in now. Um, and then just over the years, just kept growing and not really having a plan at first. Like I said, it was just the technician mentality. And then eventually it was probably like 8 years in, I realized, I just can't keep staying on the tools. I got to have a little bit of a mind shift and work into more so like the manager role. And that was pretty tricky, but that was kind of a paradigm shift when that happened. And um, so that was probably around 2015 and 2017. I joined Nexstar, which was a huge eye opener too, just to kind of realize um, how much more I
Yeah.
had to go. You think you kind of figure it out, and I was doing a lot of commercial and residential at the time, so I ended up selling the commercial side of the business the same year I got into Nexstar, and with that, just kind of went all in on the resi side.
Yeah. I love it.
Got off the tools, started working in the office, and there's been a few times, but that was one of the times where we basically changed the whole entire staff because it was a different kind of model, and I think I only was two people in the office, and it that changed, and then the technicians changed. So it was basically even like it was 50-50, but sold 50%, which was the commercial side, but it was really a completely new company.
Yeah.
That you saw was 2017. And then, yeah, it's been like, I was going to say phase two, but there's been many phases. But yeah, that's kind of, that's what got me into the resi business that we're in now.
Nice. So what's the team look like now? You have technicians, CSRs, comfort
Yeah,
consultants. How does this structure and team
Yeah,
size?
we're about 45 people right now, and we have four managers. It's like a CSR department,
Yeah.
five comfort advisors. We have a plumbing. We purchased a plumbing company in 2023, so that is like another addition that we added on.
Nice. Okay. So you were running HVAC and then you rolled in plumbing. Are you running on Service Titan
Yeah,
or yeah?
also 2017 we signed up with Service Titan. That was a
Okay.
big year.
Yeah. So I think I deployed Service Titan at a $7 million home service business in 2019. And so you were before me. It was probably changed a lot since then, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Were you like CTO, Chief Technology Officer, rolling this thing out, or how have you
Actually,
stayed with? Yeah,
no, there was one of the ladies in the office, a CSR. She took it on, and
awesome,
she, I don't know how she did it, but she rolled it out, and then
awesome.
she ended up leaving for whether to go to another Nexstar company, another story. But
Yeah,
so she had it set up. I just had to figure it out after she left.
yeah. Okay, nice. Well, I mean, that's a beautiful thing when someone can take it on this big behemoth and get it going, and then iterations. Now you have obviously a team, I'm sure, and someone's a champion of it in the business, I would imagine. Can you walk me through a little bit of like growing to 45 people and building out this level of management? Because I would imagine you went technician, then you were the manager, but you had to do the sales or hire salespeople inside of that. Maybe from like the 10 people, or maybe you have different buckets of the phases that you mentioned, but like maybe it's like 10 people, I was at this thing and then I went to 20 people and this was a big jump.
Yeah, we grew a lot through acquisition. So
Okay.
um, I would say in 2019, just looking back at like our Christmas parties and stuff, we had
Yeah.
like probably 8 to 10 people. And then during COVID in 2020, we purchased a company. Um, it just there was that lockdown time, and everybody got real nervous, and then things just took off after that. And this guy just didn't. He just stayed closed. So it was like he just basically gave up. So we jumped on the opportunity and came with
Nice.
4 employees, and that was kind of like a springboard because it was basically scaling 2 companies at the same time. And during that time, everything went crazy. It was just like shooting fish in a
Yeah.
barrel. If you, maybe that's not the best way to say it, but it was like
Yeah.
it was growing quickly. So that was kind. So we hired the first manager, and I even told him in the interview, it's like, hey, I don't know how to manage a manager, so you're gonna have to like be patient with me. And
Yeah.
it was a bit of a learning curve. And then yeah, and then 2022 we purchased another company, and again that was a little bit of a springboard. And the biggest one was the plumbing company. When we purchased that, that was also another Nexstar company, so
Nice.
it had some good systems in place already, but it was a team of 13 people. So that's when, again, they're all sort of like iterations of
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So how would you say, because people listening to this, they probably have never acquired a company or rolled it up, and I'm sure you had never done that either. And you're like, okay, well, here's an opportunity. Let's figure this out. How do you identify the opportunity? Maybe they came knocking to you, but then looking back, how do you actually roll it into your business to make it work? Maybe I'm sure it was a lot of problems, but
Yeah,
curious on that.
we just use sheer force, I guess.
Yeah.
We didn't really have a game plan. I always wanted to grow through acquisition, so I was always putting the word out. So
Mm,
the gentleman, the first company that we bought during COVID, we had spoken in 2018 and 2019, and
mm,
he wanting to sell then. We just couldn't come to terms on the price, and I really didn't know how to price it. I just basically did some math, and I said, okay, I know you're roughly getting this many phone calls a day, and it's just simple math. And I know with those phone calls at our closing rate, we could probably generate this much money. So I knew at first it wasn't a good deal, but his new price during COVID,
yeah.
that was an extremely good price. So I just jumped on it, and then again, just sort of learn as you go. I would it yeah, you just got to kind of roll with the punches, and it wasn't too bad. It was like a marketing campaign, really, the first one, right? It just
That's what I was going to ask you. So I think for people listening to this, it's like, could you take, $10,000 and spend Google ads on it? Or could you buy a phone number and a book of business and get a couple technicians with it and it's going to generate leads for you? It sounds like it was just kind of a straight marketing channel that you brought in.
yeah. So
Okay.
they were already on Service Titan, so it was kind of a it was fairly easy to just merge the two Service Titans. And
Nice.
we just rolled out the Nexstar kind of playbook for the new technicians.
Beautiful.
So and I mean it's Nexstar is a big help too, because I probably don't realize some of the issues that I was having, that Nexstar just gives you the answer, so you just keep moving on. Without
Yes.
that sort of help, maybe it would have been a lot bigger problem than I was aware of.
Yeah, that makes sense. So with I want to talk about the plumbing one because I was a part of that situation. I was at an HVAC contractor and they rolled an electrical division that they purchased. So can you talk a little bit about like opening up a new channel? I'm guessing maybe memberships or like what that looked like and how you bolted that onto your business and then got the most, revenue out of that opportunity.
Yeah, it was. Well, we were on the Toronto's a pretty big city, so we
Mhm.
mostly work on the west side. This company was on the east side, and they did a little bit of like boiler work, but not much, and it was
Mm,
mostly plumbing. So I knew that would be a good fit because it was like a 1 + 1 = 3. We were
exactly.
gonna We'll bring the plumbing to the west side, we'll bring the HVAC to the east side. Um, but what we didn't realize is how much boiler work was out there. That
Mm,
probably um, was like, I don't know the exact number, but like 40 or 50% of our revenue in 2024. It was like during the winter, we are almost doing a boiler every single day. And we didn't
wow.
really, that was like a bonus that we
Yeah.
didn't account for. So we got lucky there. But it, the plumbing didn't grow as fast as I thought it would. It took a long time to get it to like
Yeah.
develop on the west end. I thought it would just be easy, right? Because the HVAC picked up right away, but for whatever reason, the maybe it was our name, Dr. HVAC, that
Yes.
so we changed the name now to Dr. HVAC and Plumbing. And that was like recently, and we can sort of see some pickup from that. So maybe that's the only reason we weren't really growing it on the west end of the city.
Yeah. So with your HVAC contractors, you have memberships, service contracts.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then, did you have them from the beginning, or did you roll them out with Service Titan, or when did you get service contracts?
We've always had them. We actually started with commercial maintenances and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
rolled out so we've always really had them. We just sort of pushed them more, I guess, probably like with Service Titan 2017, and it took us a while to figure out how to set that up in Service Titan correctly. But once we did it, we probably don't do as good of a job as we should. But yeah, we still have quite a few Service Club members.
Okay. And then with the plumbing, do you have service contracts on the plumbing side too?
They didn't come with any, but we
Okay.
just we just kept the same price, and everybody gets a free plumbing inspection.
Okay.
Not
Inside of their
everybody wants one, but everybody's offered one.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you have the HVAC contracts, so then you can easily just roll that into plumbing and hopefully create plumbing opportunities. And that's the premise. And then plumbing convert their database into HVAC
Yeah,
business as
yeah,
well. Are you doing like email marketing, text marketing, anything to like retarget these people to bring them back in and cross sell things?
yeah. We use like Marketing Pro on Service Titan.
Okay. Yeah.
We do a lot of outbound calling. Um,
What's that look like? That outbound calling. How do you
uh,
identify the people to call, or what are you doing?
yeah, we use something. We have something set up in Service Titan. So if anybody has not called us or if not worked with us in 6 months, their
Hmm.
name shows up on a list.
Hmm.
So we'll just outbound that list, and we don't go back from like day one, but we'll go back maybe like 2 years, and
Yeah.
just call them. And as soon as they say yes, or if they say no, they come off the list.
Nice. So it'll be like, hey, customer, we haven't worked with you in 6 months. You didn't schedule your fall or spring tune up, whatever. Want to see if we could come out and take care of that for you?
Yeah, pretty much. We just say we have a promo on right now. Normal like
Nice.
let's just say whatever we're talking about, it's $89. We have a promo on for 69. Can we
Nice.
book you in for this Thursday, sort of thing?
Nice. Okay. So I love that. It's a good retargeting opportunity, and then nothing slips through the cracks. Are you doing anything with like aged out units, or like,
We do track that. So yeah, anything over 10 years, we tag it as a replacement opportunity. And yeah, so we know we want to have a certain amount of those every day
yeah.
on the call board. So
Yeah, okay, cool. And you mentioned you have comfort consultants. So I know people go back and forth on this, like, do my techs sell or do I have comfort consultants? You selected with comfort consultants, it sounds like.
yeah,
Is there a specific reason why you didn't go the tech route, or what have you found with
um,
that?
we we've toyed with it a bit. We just find when it's pretty competitive that a comfort advisor usually they'll have a higher average sale.
Yeah,
They're not afraid to offer a system and add some of the add-ons like the indoor air quality, whereas the techs are usually just if they have a 12-year-old furnace and a 12-year-old C and the AC breaks, they just only
yeah.
will replace the AC, and then we're back there in 6 months doing the furnace. Like
Mm,
so, the that it's a good question. We
it's
do have
tough. Yeah,
some.
everyone has their thing.
Yeah, we do have some techs that we know that can sell, and we're super busy in the summer, and we know the comfort advisors won't get there. We'll just let the techs sell. But we
Yeah.
incentivize them to flip the lead.
Yeah, nice. I think for people listening to this, if you have technicians and you are the salesperson or you have salespeople, I think there's so much opportunity in like creating the tech opportunity to give the lead to the salesperson, and you got to build that process out. Do you use like checklists and Service Titan, and then you can kick it over to them like that, or do you have a better process, or something for your techs to be incentivized to send leads?
Um, well, yeah, they'll get like a 1 to 2% if they flip the lead of the sale.
Perfect.
So that just they're not just flipping the lead. When they do, they want it to sell, obviously. So they'll put in a good word and they'll try their best to warm up the customer. Where if it's just we used to do it was like $50 to set a lead, $100 if it sells. Um, but now they're incentivized both ways. If it doesn't sell, they don't get anything, and if it does sell, they get a lot. So
Yeah.
they're more apt to like spend time with the customer and letting them know the pros and some cons, sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's good because you can tee up your salespeople better. Like hey, you could go with this thing that's $10,000, or you could get all this for $20,000, and it's probably better for you in the long run. I'm not going to sell you on anything. I'm just giving you a recommendation
Yeah,
here.
100%.
Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
then and it's funny because whatever the texts say, that's usually like when the salespeople come, that's like, hey, the text said this, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, so it works in your favor to have them separate because you have someone teeing them up, but they also, get something else, a percentage of it, which is nice.
Yeah.
So I like that. Can you talk to me a little about your CSRs? Like, are they selling service contracts, or how does that work? Or are they
We
just
we
setting appointments?
we flip flop on that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do, but we've sort of gone in there where they are selling them now.
Mhm.
Um, but we don't have a huge push on it right now. They
Okay.
do, and they get a spiff if they sell one. But yeah, we've been really busy lately, so it's kind of like it's not on the top
Yeah.
of our mind. Like there's other areas, which is probably going to be a mistake in the long run. I'm sure a
Yeah.
year or two down the road, will be like, oh, I wish we spent more time trying to sell those memberships. But it's just, yeah, we're in a phase right now where we're trying to keep up with the demand, so
Yeah.
that's not on top of our minds right now.
Yeah, I think it's hard because it's like, yeah, we know we should be doing it, but like we just need to get these meetings booked or these jobs booked and like get the stuff on the calendar because
Yeah.
yeah, I get that. So you're busy. So where's all this coming from? It's just like Google stuff, or are you doing anything else unique, or
Um, no, I think it's just we have a big database because we've purchased four companies, and
yeah,
then yeah, we're still doing like Google paid ads. We have a pretty good website, so um, we did a lot of radio ads in the summer. We're still doing them, but we had a big push in the summer. So um, and
how did
then
the radio
obviously,
ads go? Did you do an offer on it and then you were able to track it, or is mostly just branding stuff, or
yeah, just branding. We put our website in there, like a specific website called the Doc, and
hmm
there is people that actually went to it, and that's the only place. But I mean, it's such a small number in a
yeah,
big city. But the the only real test was people calling me, "Oh, I heard you on the radio." Like, so it was like people were hearing it, but I mean, yeah, it's pretty hard to track like the dollar return on investment sort of thing.
yeah. So it sounds like you bought these databases for companies, and and now you rolled in plumbing, so you kind of have limit. Almost unlimited at this point opportunities to cross sell services, to call them after 6 months, schedule their stuff, give them some type of promo offer. And that's really driving a lot of growth through these databases that you're purchasing.
Yes, and yeah, the technicians is like we can find leads easier than we can find technicians right now. I think
Yeah.
that's always been the common theme, but
That was literally where I was going to go. It was like, okay, how are you training these technicians to come in? Are you taking them green? Are you trying to get people external, or just whatever we can get? We're trying to get them on boarded with our process, or what does that look like? Because you buy four people, you're going to have unlimited opportunities to sell things at this point. It sounds like
yeah.
within growth.
So
Yeah,
we
what's hell?
we were going with the like trying to just hire guys like real green and train them
Mhm.
up, but we I mean, I like the theory of that. We just didn't have the bandwidth to get them trained up, so they kind of just would they were learning on the job, and we didn't really want to keep doing that. So now we are looking for people with a little bit of experience, and then we still like we have a training center in here, so we can still train them on electricity and like the basics and run them
Yeah.
through certain scenarios. We do weekly training, just whatever it may be, but going from like straight green out of school or something to um, I think we need to be a little bit bigger for us to do it properly. We were we, we gave it a college try kind of thing, and
Yeah.
it's either you got to be all in or just not in at all kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's hard because you wanna bring guys in, but you also wanna retain them inside of, you don't want them to come in and get all the stuff and leave, so you gotta build something that's sustainable. But how green do you want people to get them up to speed? Like, give them a year, give them 6 months or 3 months and plug them in when you're growing, and it's a balancing act of all of those things.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's where well, exactly, it's a balancing. We want to have some like bench strength in our team, but we don't want to hire too many guys, right? Where they're not producing and that affects the gross margin. But you can't have you need a little bit of bench strength, right? If somebody were to leave kind of things. So we're just trying to find that magic number right now.
Yeah, okay, I have a bunch of other questions, but I wanna just dive in on this one thing, and then I will move on to a couple other things.
Sure.
So, you acquired 4 companies. people that are listening, he acquired 4 companies. The beauty is that now he has all his database, so he can put in good systems to retarget them, cross-sell them different services. Can you, if someone's listening to this and they've never purchased a company before or know what to do, and maybe even the first example of just a small guy that has, a list and it's a lead channel, because you said you were doing this for 2 years, so how should someone go about just like go to Google Business Profile, find people that have under 100 reviews and just call them like, hey, you thinking about selling, or is there a
Well,
formula? Yeah.
that's a good idea. I haven't thought of that. I
Okay.
I just went to a lot of like the networking things, and that's how I usually met people. Um,
Okay.
like I'm sure every city has a local like HVAC chapter or something, or just next to our meetings, anywhere I go, I would just always just sort of drop it like, hey, do you have an exit plan? And a
Mm.
lot of people would. And I've gone into buildings and just say, hey, you ever thinking about selling? And some people get really upset. Other people are not, but they'll have a good conversation. And then some people, they're like, yeah, like you can kind of get the sense that they don't want to come out and say it, but they're like, yeah, it's crossed my mind. And then you're like, okay. And then the biggest one I bought, the plumbing company, they were a Nexstar company, but they actually reached out to me through a broker. And
Mm.
it didn't even seem real at first. You're always getting these emails of like,
Yeah.
hey, we'll buy your company. But it
Yeah.
was like the same email, but it's like,
We'll
we
sell
have
you
somebody
yours.
that's interested in selling. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And then when I found out who they were, I was like, oh yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, pretty cool. So with these companies, just for people that are listening, and I'm sure you've done it several different ways, but you can buy the asset of the database and the information, and maybe you pay one time for that. But then also maybe you could buy and keep some people on for like an earnout or something like that. Can you talk through like how you made that decision as a business owner, and like I guess you're, instead of taking the profits out, you're reinvesting them back in by buying these things, and like what should people think about in like $1 to $10 million range?
Yeah, I mean, the the three we bought were small relatively, and then the fourth one, the third company we bought actually was the biggest. The last company bought was the smallest, but the three of them were just asset sales. So you're basically taking the phone number, the database, the emails, like any way they can contact you. You're just, that's all you're really buying. Um, if there's some inventory, it's usually not really worth much. So a lot of the stuff we'd get the inventory, we'd have to clean out the warehouse, but
Right.
sometimes it was just a big run to the junkyard, and we'd get money for like all the old copper and things like that. But it's really the website and the phone number. That's the two key things, and the database, because you want
Yeah.
to be able to reach out to them and mail them.
Yeah.
And then
Okay. So people, oh, go ahead.
well, I was going to say the big one we did was a share purchase. So we bought the whole company, and then you're buying the liabilities, all that kind of thing. But it was a bigger one, so we wanted to do it that way.
Yeah. So people listening to this, there are small people retiring in your area that are willing to sell you their phone number, their database, their website, just to get out and say that they sold their business for something, let alone just shut their doors. And you want to create those opportunities for your business. Can you talk a little bit about the leadership shift? What we found as an agency is like $1 to $3 million. You have problems as a leadership. The hustler has to die. The leader has to be born. Kind of like what you're referring to. They get into technician, the management. The 3 to 5 million range, you kind of got to build a sales team and culture in your business. And then 5 to 10 is really you're the true leader, and you got to set the vision and the tone of the company and build a leadership management team underneath of that. Can you talk through, and maybe I'm way off, but can you talk through maybe like the different things that you had to face to grow, and maybe one of the bigger challenges that you had of
Yeah.
any of those?
Well, I think those numbers are pretty dead on. But I think by purchasing that plumbing company, we kind of skipped a step. We went from the 1 to 3 management to the 5 to 10. So we
Uh,
weren't really, we didn't have the systems in place for the 5 to 10, because
yeah.
we were just getting out of that 3 million sort of stage, right? So then all of a sudden we're pushing the $10 million range, and we're we have some good people, like good coaches that are really helping us. That like this year we did our mission, vision, values,
Mm.
which was a big one.
Yeah.
That helped. I never really believed in it until I did the whole exercise. It was a few days, and I
Yeah.
get it now, and that's helped get everybody aligned. And just really understanding like the processes and systems. So we use EOS, but the same thing. We were on EOS since 2020, but we got a new EOS coach this year, and it's funny how the way this person described things, it just opened my eyes to
Mm.
why things are so important. Like I'd, I'd read a sentence and be like, okay, we do that. And then he'd actually explain it. And I'm like, oh, we don't do it like that. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, this was a big learning year, 2025 for us.
Yeah. Do they act as a fractional integrator, or have you been able to find an integrator, or what does that look like inside of the
Yeah,
company?
I guess you could call it like a fractional integrator. I got lucky with this person because I didn't even, I got introduced to him. We started working together, and he wasn't introduced as anybody that had anything to do with EOS. He
Mm.
just was like a money guy that understood like finances and this and that. And
Mm.
our very first meeting, we started talking about EOS, and he just blew my mind about how much he knew about it.
Wow.
So we haven't really got to the finances yet because he's still working on the EOS side of things.
Yeah. So a lot of people, specifically when they go from the 5 to 10 million, they really want to dial in this EOS, but the integrator piece is the hardest. Like you, Brendan, probably have ideas, but you need it to be deployed between your sales team, your ops team, and your finance team. How are you able to articulate the vision of what you want to do to those people?
I guess again with sheer
Yeah.
force.
Yeah.
That's probably our roadblock right now is
Okay.
finding an integrator. We've never like that's our next sort of step, our next phase.
Yes.
We've never had one, and it's probably in the spot where I'm getting in the way now. Right? If we had a good integrator, I'm sure we would scale a lot faster.
Okay.
The bottleneck, I'm sure, is well, it's always the owner, but like I'm
Yeah.
the bottleneck right now, and it's like hard for me to see. Everyone else has no problem seeing it,
Yeah,
but
of course.
yeah. So that's this the person I'm working with now is I guess he's not like he's not putting any of the stuff into play, but he's laying the groundwork for
Mm.
when someone comes that it'll be a smooth transition.
Yeah, awesome. So the leaders that you have, the layer of management in the EOS funnel, usually, and you might have a different leadership team, but like a sales leader, an ops leader, and a finance and HR leader. Is that what you have? Is there any other type
Well,
of people?
we hired a controller this year. That was a great
Okay.
invest. That's been awesome. But then we have our four managers. We have a CSR manager, service, sales, and install manager. So those are the four. Like that. That's our leadership team.
Okay, perfect. And then are you doing the L10 meetings and they all have their
Yep.
numbers and 90 and all this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
We use
doing
Bloom Growth, but
okay, yeah.
we do a weekly L10. We do the daily huddle. Uh, it although we've been using the same scorecard for quite a few years, and um, the, the person I'm working with now is kind of shedding some light on. We're tweaking the scorecard a little bit for our L10.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about people that might be listening that are like 1 to 3 million, um, they hear scorecards and meetings and level of management. If you were to go back to that $1 to $3 million and give them some words of encouragement or how to do this, like how do you build a scorecard or what do you have on there? Or like maybe there's nuggets that you know now that would have helped you back then that you wish you would have done. Are there anything in particular that you could pinpoint?
It's a good question. I probably would have listened to we hired an integrator for that year. We did EOS. I
Okay.
probably would have took better notes and
Yeah.
um, tried to implement everything he said, and not just picking and choosing. Um,
Yeah.
I tend to do that. So
EOS-ish.
yeah, right. There's like EOS Pure, and then there's like EOS-ish, and
Yeah.
Nexstar kind of like Nexstar built a lot of their systems on EOS, so it's a nice blend to
Hmm.
work the two together because they don't really they don't conflict each other. Um, but it's tough sometimes because that's when we did it, and we didn't have like a full like leadership team.
Yeah.
I find it gets easier as the leadership team grows. I mean, other problems arise, but that sort of it helps. Um, because yeah, I guess if like you're under a million, it's hard to really
Yeah.
implement EOS, right? I think like they say 2 million is probably like the minimum.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I
And then
think
yeah,
1 to 3 million, a lot of times what we see is that the scorecard or having numbers or looking at numbers is a little bit foreign because, you're coming out of technician hustler and you're just kind of like getting the days filled, payroll run. And when you start to look at, this was my experience. I went from 3 to 5 million. What at my home service business was like, I got to start looking at my leads year over year and my job count year over year and my estimate count year over year. And then I have to have people that I can hold accountable to hit my goals for the next thing. And a lot of times when we roll this out with our clients, it's like, yeah, I know I should be doing this, but how do I pull this from my CRM? And then who's going to be held accountable for these things?
yeah,
At this point, you already, you have those pieces in place. But a lot of times people miss that and they don't know how to grow because they don't know the numbers that are levers to pull.
Yeah. One thing I would say if I went back and did it again, it would be you said the accountability part, but is to hold the management team more accountable to their numbers. For
Mm.
some reason, I guess me being like coming from the field, there were certain like I guess it was that technician mindset where I was like I was thinking as a technician. Anyways, I guess knowing what I know now, I would have been a little bit more like holding their feet to the fire a bit. Next
Yeah.
star says I shouldn't say hold their feet to the fire, but
I think what it comes down to is that you, as a business owner, we tend to put everything on our shoulders when it's like, no, my booking rate should be my CSR or my CSR manager. That should be the number that I hold them accountable for, and I can help coach them through that. But I don't need to carry the burden of that number, especially when I can even incentivize them to carry the burden of that number.
yeah, 100%. And I wish I learned that earlier or implemented it or like yeah, lived that a
Yeah.
few years ago.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, it's okay to have numbers and then hold your team accountable for those numbers and maybe even give them a little bit of a carrot or some type of incentive to say, if you hit this number, then you get this thing. That's a good thing. Okay, so community impact. We talked about at-risk youth. I think there's a big opportunity for home service businesses to get involved in their community and not, especially with roll-ups and franchises, but also with PE coming in of like the soul is getting sucked out of a lot of these home service businesses, specifically the local community impact. And if they do it, a lot of times it's for fluff.
Yep.
Being in your local community and doing things for the community. Can you talk about one, like why is that important to you? But two, maybe it's helped you in business in some aspect or maybe some other benefits.
Yeah, it's we I haven't been as impactful as I'd like. I you know we sponsor certain things, certain events, but it's kind of one of those goals that long term is to be able to go into like troubled like certain schools or troubled teens and get them like they're heading down the wrong path and get them on the right path, teach them a trade, and
Yeah.
really I just feel like some people just don't understand how good the trades can be when you're when you like you're not university material or something along those
Yeah.
lines, right? Like it just when people discover it, it's a great thing. So that's kind of my like long term goal. So we've sponsored some like high schools. We sponsor certain clubs like the Brampton like the track clubs.
Yeah.
Um, I was a runner, so I just tend to gravitate
Yeah.
towards like running and sports. And but um, yeah, just and it's hard now too because we started in one like the West End in one city. We're in Brampton, but now basically like we're in Toronto, but that breaks down into different boroughs, different neighborhoods, different cities, and it's I'm still kind of like centralized here for where the community investment goes, I guess.
Yeah. Makes sense. I think a lot of times um, we get involved in the community and it's fun to get involved and there's more that we could do, but there's also like you're involved in the community in some aspects of what you do, even just through your technicians, through your employees, of the impact that you're making. And I think this is the thing, like PE, I think not all PE is bad, but a lot of times it sucks the soul out of the actual businesses and it's just a numbers game. And as a business owner in a local community and supporting 45 jobs and 45 families, that's an impact in and of itself that you're making. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I do want to ask you about the sales piece because you've alluded to several times that you are more in the technician mindset and then scaling to management. We see this a lot of times, 1 to 3 and then 3 to 5 of building a sales team and a sales culture in a business, because at the end of the day, you got to sell something and have a job, to do. So can you talk about what that was like for you? And did you just like get a rock star sales manager or salesperson that like landed in your lap, or how did you build that and cultivate that inside of your business?
Yeah, I guess our the first like we just hired a sales manager this year. I've been doing the sales manager up until this year, but
Hmm.
I remember the first salesperson we hired. Um, they just had a knack for it, so I kind of got lucky there. They
Yeah.
were they had a good close rate, and I didn't know anything to teach them. I just sort of like I could help them with the technical stuff. I
Yeah.
remember the first call we actually went on. Um, it was like a ride along. I was going to show the person how to do it, and in the middle of a call, they basically interrupted me and took over because I was
Okay.
doing so
I
poorly.
got it. I got it, man. Don't worry.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, no problem. You do your thing. Um,
I love it.
Nothing's really changed. I'm probably the worst salesperson in the company, but um, yeah. And then it's been a struggle though because it's a tough gig, right? Just to find anybody that's brave enough to work on straight commission.
Yes.
And then when you get them, then you got to make sure you have the leads. And then when you do get the leads, then hopefully they're not, then they got to be able to close them, right? So we have a team of 5 now, and it's probably where most of my energy goes is focusing on
Yeah.
just coaching them and training them, helping them with whatever they may need.
Yeah. I think the hardest part, when we work with HVAC contractors, is like 9 times out of 10, people are not calling you for replacements. And if they are, it's to price shop. So
Yeah,
it's like you got to get the repair leads, and then you have to build a culture of repair leads to lead to replacement opportunities. And then you have to create that full funnel effect in your business. And when you get that, then you can plug your sales guys in and they can run on commission because you have this funnel built.
yeah,
A
exactly.
lot of times it's like getting to that point is very hard for people because they don't have those functions in their business of like repair lead to replacement opportunity and then feeding these guys.
Right.
Yeah. So building out the sales team, and you said that they were all commissioned. So there's no base for these guys, or you kind of give them a 5 week runway, or they can create their own opportunities with BNI, or what does that look like?
Yeah, they can, but they don't know.
Yeah.
Well, in the last since we started in with Comfort Advisors in 2015, so 10 years, only one has been in the BNI, and that was for a few months. But
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, they're more than welcome to. We pay extra commission if they generate their oown leads.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's strict commission. We'll do like 2 weeks of training.
Yeah.
We'll pay for that, and then it's basically they're on their own. And we will if they needed help at the start, we'll help them. But it's basically like, I mean, it's pretty lucrative, right? So they don't need to sell a lot. And we actually
Exactly.
tell people like if you're making 125 grand a year as a comfort advisor, we'll probably have to let you go because that means you're not closing enough leads. And
Exactly.
they don't really believe us. And then when they're making the most amount of money they've ever had in their life and they're loving it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
they're getting pips. They're getting like, hey, we still gotta like, there's, we're not where we need you to be yet.
Yeah. So my dad was a technician growing up. He was a technician in pest control. But then I ended up in the trades, and it was very crazy to me that comfort advisor could make $300,000, and it was like, oh, that's pretty normal. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy because there's guys that work in tech startups that don't even make this, right? There's
Yeah,
business owners that don't even make this,
we, we
and
we we tell them that there's like doctors, dentists, CEOs that have
yeah,
like went to school for years and years and years, and you're just gonna waltz in a few months be making more money than them. Like
yeah,
but it's not easy, and you do have to put in the like you got to do your own homework to get to that level.
yeah, for sure. Um, nice, man. That's awesome. So, is there anything in your story that was like, if you could pinpoint something that was like a big inflection point of you as a leader or your growth in the business, or something that you could pinpoint that would be a good takeaway for listeners? That's like, hey, if you're not like Nextstar, okay, if you're not in a peer-to-peer coaching group, like you got to do that because that was a big thing. Or is there something, when I implemented this happened?
Yeah, I would say some sort of group, right? Like it's a coach. It doesn't matter what kind. I just feel like, I mean, there is people that I meet and they never had a coach, and just blows my mind because like I would be lost. I have a lot of coaches. I spend a lot of money on coaching and consultants and whatnot, but like I just I'm amazed at people that can do it without one. But I
Yeah.
also find not many people can do it without a coach. So it's like find somebody or someone, and that's actually done it too, right? Not somebody that's trying to teach you the theory, somebody that's actually been there and done it.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing I could say. Like I've done a lot of things. I'm part of another group called EO Entrepreneurs Organization,
Yeah.
and that's a great organization. I get to meet a lot of like I learn a lot of stuff, and there's not many trades or home services people in the group, but it's just seeing a different side of business and still going through the same struggles. Um,
Yeah.
that's been a big help. But I think like yeah, if anyone asks advice, there's tons of groups like Nextstar. It doesn't have to be Nextstar, but there's
Yeah.
so many out there. I see you got Tommy Mello's book
Yeah.
back there, but like
Yeah.
he's just even his podcasts are great. I listen to those things all the time, and there's so much information out there, but find a way to get that info.
Yeah, there's some good coaching programs. Strategic Coach is one that I'm in.
Oh
with
yeah,
Dan Sullivan.
yeah. He's out of Toronto.
Yeah,
I was part of that
Canadian.
last year.
Yep. So strategic coach is good. I'm also an Entree Leadership, which is a Dave Ramsey program, which is
Yep,
good for business owners. There's BTA Breakthrough Academy, which I
yep.
do some work
They're in
with them.
Canada.
Yeah, they're out of Canada too. There's a lot. It's when we talk about coaching, it's like you gotta invest in yourself, and so that way you can get through to the next level. And I think what you said hit the nail on the head, which is try to find people that have already done it and that are building businesses, and then you're going to pay down that ignorance tax and get there a lot faster for your
Yeah,
business.
yeah. That's I where I am now. It's taken me 18 years to get here. If I started over, I think I could do it in 3 years now and get right
Yeah.
to where I am now. And I just like if I would have, well, even joining Nextstar has been a help, but I should have
Yeah.
joined Nextstar and listened like right off the bat instead of
Yeah.
like picking and choosing again, right? So,
Yeah.
but knowing what I know now, it's yeah. I probably honestly wouldn't have. I probably would have gone out of business at some point without like the coaching.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
and
crazy. I've been at it for 7 years now, and I tell my wife all the time, like, if I had to do this again, I could probably do it in like a year or two to get where I'm at because you already know like the pitfalls and um think about those people. If you could hire them as your coaches that have already done it, how more quick could they download what works and what doesn't into your business? And that's what you're paying for, which is the beauty of it.
yeah, 100%. And just guardrails too. Like I look at some mistakes that have cost me so much time, and now I probably don't know what those mistakes were, but I was probably heading that way, and the coach will just
Yeah.
say, try this way, and like sometimes they tell you, sometimes they suggest, but
Yeah,
regardless, they keep the guardrails so you don't weave off too far.
exactly. Well, cool, man. This has been great. I appreciate you sharing all this stuff. Where should people go, to learn more about you, maybe connect with you on LinkedIn or check out your business, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, just the website's drhvac.ca, DRHVAC. Brendon Aldridge on LinkedIn, and then I think on Instagram where the real, or I'm not even sure, the real Dr. HVAC. It's spelled DOCTOR. Our name was already taken, so
Yeah, yeah. The reel's always good too.
yeah.
Cool, man. Well, it's great to connect with you. I appreciate you sharing your story on here and look forward to continuing the conversation.
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man.
Bye.